Hello and welcome to Pixel Magic Tutorials. I am your host Geekman, and today we're going to learn how to create a seamless texture pattern in Photoshop. Now, a couple of assumptions I need to get out of the way right off the bat. Number one, I am using Photoshop CC 2017. So if you're using an earlier version of Photoshop, some of the effects may not work as expected. Second, I am using Windows. So if you're using a Mac, when I say hit the Control key on the keyboard, that's the Command key. And when I say hit the Alt key on the keyboard, that's the Option key. So with all of that out of the way, let's get started by bringing in the image that we want to turn into a seamless tile. Now, I'm using an image that I downloaded from the internet. It's a free download, and I have a link in the description below where you can find this and download it yourself to follow along, or you can use any image that you want to make into a seamless textured pattern. Okay, once you have whatever image that you want, bring it into Photoshop, and if this little pop-up shows up that says missing profile or profile mismatch, you just want to assign the Working RGB, which in my case is Adobe RGB 1998, but whatever it is for you, make sure it's assigning the Working RGB so that you don't have any color shifts. That won't really make a difference with this particular tutorial, because we're going to be turning our image into black and white to make it a seamless tile. But if you wanted to keep the color, you want to make sure that you assign it to your Working RGB, which is the RGB profile that you're using in Photoshop when you work. Okay, so hit OK, your image will show up, and then it's ready to be turned into a seamless tile. Now, I chose this image in particular for two reasons. Number one, I think that this section way down here on the lower left would make a great seamless tile. And number two, I wanted to show you different ways to get rid of parts like this upper right-hand part that would make your seamless tile pretty obvious that it's a tile. Because if you see this big piece of paint here repeated several times, you know that it's a repetitive pattern and it ruins the effect of a seamless tile. The whole point of a seamless texture pattern is that you don't know that it is repeating. It looks like one seamless texture. So what we're going to do is get rid of this. Now, you can use the clone stamp tool, okay, which is S on the keyboard, and you could clone this out. You just hold down Alt, click on a section that you want to use as your main clone area, and then you just start cloning out the part that you don't want. But I'm going to hit Control Z to bring it back. We don't want to do that, and V to bring back my pointer so you can see what I'm pointing at. We don't want to do that here because I find that to be very tedious, and you may too. But if you wanted to take the time, that is a valid way to get rid of parts of an image that you don't want to be seen as a repetitive part of the pattern. What we do want to do in this case is we just want to select the area down here on the lower left as big as we can to turn into that seamless tile. So what we're going to do is we're going to crop this picture to a square that only takes the lower left-hand side of the image as the tiled, as the seamless texture pattern. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is turn this into a black and white image. And we're going to do that not by using the black and white filter, but by using the saturation. So we're going to hit Control U on the keyboard to bring up the hue saturation. And we're going to then take our saturation node here, and we're going to bring that all the way down to -100. So we're going to hit OK now that we've done that. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to crop this picture. So you're going to hit C on the keyboard to bring up your crop tool. Now up here for the options, in the options bar, you want to make sure that it's 1-to-1 square. Okay, you want to make it 1000 by 1000. And over here, delete cropped pixels. You want to make sure that that is checked for this to work properly. If you don't have that checked, it will crop, but it's just hiding outside the bounds of the image the rest of your original image. So when you try and do an offset, which we will do later, it won't work right because it will be using the full image information and you won't get what we need, which is a seamless tile. So you want to make sure that you have delete cropped pixels checked. Okay, then we're going to resize this down. And then we're going to move over to the left like so. Let's crop it down just a little bit more. And there we have what will be a very nice seamless tile. So once you have your selection in the area that you want it to be, you're going to hit the check mark up here to select, and then we are done. Okay, then you can uncheck the delete cropped pixels because you probably don't want to always delete those cropped pixels. You want to keep them. And we're going to go back to our move tool, which is V on the keyboard, or just selecting the move tool up here on your toolbar. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do, like I said, is we're going to offset this. And the reason that we're going to offset this is because right now, this looks like a nice tile, but there's this section up here that when we tile this, won't match the right-hand side, and it won't match the bottom side, and nothing will match. It won't be seamless. It would just be a tile of this. So we need to get rid of the edges of our image and turn it into a seamless image. So the way that you do that is you offset the image inside and down, or from the bottom and from the right, and until you see the lines somewhat in the middle, so that you can then use your clone stamp to get rid of them. So we're going to go over here to Filter, to Other, to Offset. Okay, and we're going to make this 500 by 500. Okay, and make sure Wraparound is on, and then hit OK. And you can see we now have our lines, and that is what you would have seen had you tried to tile the image as it was. So now we have to get rid of these obvious lines, and we're going to do that using our clone stamp tool. So we're going to go to S for clone stamp, or you can just click here on the clone stamp tool. And here we have a clone stamp. Now what you want it to be is the soft round brush. So just click on soft round brush. And opacity 100, flow 100, all layers. Doesn't make a difference. It's only one layer. Okay, and then you want to select an area that you then want to get rid of these lines with. So I'm going to choose this area right here, and then I'm just going to start painting right there. And then I'm going to choose another area. And the reason why you want to choose more than one area is because if you always choose the same area, it will become obvious that you are using that area. See, if I just select this and make a line straight down, you can see that it's repeating. Now, you can't really see it here, but if I kept going with this, let me Control Z that. If I keep going with this, you'll see that you can now see that this matches this, and in a seamless tile, patterns become noticeable. So we don't want that. So let's Control Z out of that. So what you do want to do is you want to keep selecting different parts of the image that you think would look good as for getting rid of the obvious lines. Okay, and you want to make sure to hit the top a little bit, just a little bit, and that's it. All right, so then we got to do this line over here. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to do this. You're basically just getting rid of this. So this is about all that we're going to need to do for this, is just keep bringing in parts of the image to make it look more, less repeating or repetitive. Okay, so now it's very hard to see where one part of the image begins and another part ends. Okay, you can see it looks like it can repeat pretty easily. So we're going to get rid of this over here, like so, and like that. Okay, so that should work. Now the way that you test this, let me get back to my move tool so you can see my pointer. The way that you test this is you go up here, back to Filter, you go to Other, back to Offset, and you check. And as you can see, if I start moving this around, you don't see a seam anywhere. And that's what you're looking for. Everything tiles very, very, very nicely. Okay, so you want to hit OK, or actually cancel, because we want it to be here. And then we are done with the seams. Okay, next we want to go to our preset manager. Now, the reason why we're doing this is you want to clear out your presets for your patterns so that you have a blank slate. And I'll explain why in just one moment. So you want to go up here to Edit. You want to go down to Presets, and then to Preset Manager. And then you're going to go Preset Type. You want to go to Patterns. Okay, let's just get rid of this. Let's just go up here. Let's go to Reset Patterns, hit OK. Save the changes to the current patterns before replacing them. If you want to save them, hit yes, then save them. Otherwise, hit no. and it will be these default horrible patterns. Okay, and the reason why we're doing this is to make it very easy to see where your pattern is on this list. It will always be the last one. So this section right here will become our new pattern. Okay, that's all that you want to do. Hit done, and then you want to go up here, edit, define pattern. Okay, and there's our pattern, and you want to name it, let's just name it wall 1. I don't know why. And that's going to be, actually, let's name it pattern 1. Pattern 1. Okay, name pattern 1. We're going to hit OK. And where is it? Well, it's where our pattern manager is. So we're going to go back to edit, and we're going to go to presets and preset manager. We're going to go back over here to patterns, and there is our pattern 1. Okay. The next thing that I'm going to show you is how to save this as its own set. Now, let's say that you've done 4, 5, 10, 20 different patterns that you want to save as a set together. So you've done this with 10 different walls that you found online that you want to turn into seamless tiles. You've made all the seamless tiles here. You've saved them as a preset pattern. And now you want to save all of those together as one set, so that you can save it for yourself and load it up whenever you want. Well, the way that you do that is you select the patterns that you want. Let's say we want this one. And if you want patterns that are separate from each other, let's say this guy and this guy and this guy, you hold down the control key and you click on the ones that you want. If, however, they are all in a line, let's say you made these last 10 and you wanted to save them all, you would go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and you would just hold down Shift and click on that, and it would select all of them from the first one you select to the last one you select. Okay, then you go to Save Set, and you save the set. Now, you probably don't want to save it under presets and patterns. You want to save it somewhere where you can keep it safe and then load it up whenever you want. So for my case, that would be under Pixel Magic Tutorials and Patterns, and then I will name it Pixel Magic Patterns 02 and save set. And that is how you make a seamless textured pattern and how you save it as a set for use later. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please leave me a comment, give me a thumbs up, and subscribe. I do new tutorials every Tuesday. And once again, this is Geekman signing off for Pixel Magic Tutorials.